Scanning. Identity confirmed. Signal acquired. Initiating transmission. Stand by. Contacting Imperial High Council. Initiating Project Storytime.
Greetings, members of the Imperial High Council. Today, we return to Star Trek Enterprise. We open on some Vulcan monks when a group of Andorians come in. Well, they seem friendly, don't they? After the titles, Trip is complaining that they're using star charts the Vulcans gave them because that's not in the spirit of exploration. But Archer says that humans have never been out here, and they found a protostar that's not on the Vulcan star charts. Yep, we're going to be that petty to our closest ally, because we happen to find one thing that the Vulcans missed. Anyway, T'Pol enters, and Archer and Trip want to know about this Vulcan settlement. T'Pol mentions that it's the ancient Vulcan spiritual retreat Pajem, and Archer and Trip want to go for a visit. After a quick scene with T'Pol and Phlox that's pretty much just there because the episode ran a little short, T'Pol is giving instructions to Archer and Trip as they are about to head down to this Vulcan monastery, and she's talking to them like they are children. Can't really say I blame her.
Also, maintain quiet at all times and do not touch or disturb any artifacts, relics, or ornamentation.
And if you think I'm kidding, Archer and Trip complain about how they thought Starfleet training was hard. How did humanity ever get into space if basic common sense is seen as challenging? They head down and see the door has clearly been bashed in, so they call Reed to bring down a security team so they can sweep the area, and of course not. If there's one thing we've learned about Season 1 Archer, no critical thinking is to be found. In fairness, it's T'Pol that doesn't think twice about it.
The temple is almost 3,000 years old, Commander. You can't expect it to be in pristine condition.
What? There's a big difference between normal wear and tear and a door that's clearly been smashed in. They let themselves in, and T'Pol talks to one of the monks. This scene would feel unsettling if we, as the audience, didn't already know the monastery was under attack. T'Pol tells them that they have arrived during the Kolinar ritual, and the monks are not accepting visitors at this time. Now, before they left Enterprise, T'Pol mentioned that this might be the case. So, given what Archer knows, they should just leave. But if we did that, there'd be no episode. Damn it. T'Pol requests some honored token or something, but notices the monk seems agitated and also one of the statues is out of place. Archer then does what he does best, rambles on about nothing. As he talks, he, T'Pol, and Trip are walking around making more observations. The monk gives Archer some sacred rock or whatever, but he and Trip notice one of the Andorians. They attack the guy, and it's 2-on-1. Archer might have a chance of being in a fist fight without getting his face rearranged. But the other Andorians arrive and take our heroes hostage. Archer, Trip, and T'Pol are put with all the other monks, and the lead Andorian, Shran, played by Jeffrey Combs, who I'm convinced has a lifetime contract with Star Trek. Shran reveals that they are here because they are convinced that the Vulcans are using this monastery to set up a spy network on them. Turns out the Vulcans and Andorians have been in conflict for a very long time. Then one of the Andorians goes over to T'Pol and says,
"I'll enjoy having you as a prisoner."
Did you see what I did there? I put in an unnecessary pause on what I was saying to make it even more creepy. I want to make it clear I'm the bad guy. The Vulcan tells Archer that in order to stop years of conflict, they have negotiated a treaty. But the Andorians are convinced that the Vulcans are in violation of said treaty and set up their spy network. This is the third time they have raided the monastery, and they have left without much issue after they failed to find anything. Archer's arrival has made the Andorians more paranoid, and
"You've endangered us all."
That could be said a lot about early episodes of Enterprise. Back on Enterprise, Reed shows that he seems to be the only person on this show with an IQ above room temperature. A quick scan shows the Andorian shuttle on the surface not far from the monastery, and since the away party hasn't checked in yet, he fears the worst. He points out that if the shuttle or Enterprise had done a simple scan of the area, then the unknown vessel would have been detected. Reed says scanning the area should be standard procedure. Hoshi mentions that you can't expect people to check in every 10 minutes, and yet again, Reed is clearly the smartest person on the ship by saying that regular check-ins should be standard procedure. Back on the planet, Archer is having his face turned into putty as he's being interrogated. The Andorians are demanding to know who they are and why they're here when they get a signal from their communicators from Enterprise. Shran answers and tells Enterprise that they have the hostages, and any attempt to rescue them will result in their crew members' deaths. Then Shran does something stupid.
Wait!
Shran, you know next to nothing about these people that you're convinced is working for or with your greatest enemy, and you destroy your only means of communication with them? Does that really sound like a good idea? Does it really, you stupid Papa Smurf reject? Reed tells the crew to prep the other shuttle for launch and to start looking up any information from the Vulcan database about Andorians. After that, Shran threatens to start killing some of the monks if they don't start telling the truth. Archer is carefully placed back with the hostages, and he tells them that the Andorians are planning on killing some of them, and that Reed will likely be sending down an away team sooner or later. The lead old Vulcan mentions that there's a very old transmitter that they might use. So he walks up to one of the statues, pulls on it, and the wall opens up like it's the Adam West Batman show. Trip and one of the monks heads into the secret catacombs. Trip is taken to the old transmitter, but he notices an old tunnel, but is told that there are only relics stored down there. Just ignore that passageway. Gee, I wonder if that passageway will be important later. Anyway, Trip gets to work on making repairs to the transmitter. Sometime later, the Andorians make a check on the hostages and find everyone accounted for. Gee, you really fooled us with the temple being in night, clearly showing it several hours later. Anyway, Archer and T'Pol start talking strategy. Turns out that the Andorians don't have a transporter, so they could beam the team right into the temple. But T'Pol points out that they would detect the transporter signal and open fire on the team before they got finished beaming in. Well, it's a good thing that in just the last episode, T'Pol recommended that they beam in stun grenades, knock out all of the guards, and then your people could go in without facing any resistance. But since that plan would work with very minimal risk to your crew, it would get in the way of the story the writers want to tell, so we focus on beaming in people and not simple grenades. Anyway, Archer mentions that he doesn't understand why the Vulcans don't stand up for themselves. T'Pol says something stupid.
We don't believe in responding to violence with violence.
That's just idiotic. Is it not logical to assume that if someone beats you up and you do nothing about it, then they will keep doing so because they don't see you as any threat? It's logical to think that since the Andorians have attacked this place multiple times, they would keep doing so. Trip gets the transmitter working, and they are able to talk to Enterprise. He fills the ship in with what's going on and tells them not to approach the planet yet. Archer, T'Pol, Trip, and the Vulcans are working on a plan. Trip mentions that he saw some lights from what looked like the pattern that Archer saw in the room with the Andorians. So to confirm this, how do they go about it? Well, Archer has a plan. All it takes is to get taken away, be very annoying to the Andorians so they'll beat your face in, and then you throw a little statue in there and hope no one saw you do anything, then have someone look around in the dark for a tiny little figurine. Or you could just have someone go into the tunnels and look through one of those holes to see where they come out. Your choice, really. Either way, Trip contacts Enterprise and tells them to beam into the room that they are currently standing. The Andorians pick up the signal and rush to get over there. Why they didn't pick up the signal from the transmitter is never explained, but whatever. Reed and two randos beam in, rush into the tunnels just as the Andorians get there. Shran leaves them with a guard who, like all smart guards, leaves his back wide open to the people he's watching. Man, if only the Vulcans had a way to peacefully knock someone out just by grabbing their neck. Reed and the randos in the tunnels set up explosives just behind the Legends of the Hidden Temple guy, and the Andorians pick up 3 more life signs. Then it's time for the kaboom! Alright, our heroes have caught them completely by surprise and just totally suck. Meanwhile, Archer and Trip are fighting the lone guard. Again, it sure would be helpful if the Vulcans knew how to knock someone out by a simple touch. Morons! Look at this. They're just standing around. Reed saves Archer life because Archer is just the worst at fighting. So Archer, T'Pol, Reed, and one of the monks heads into the tunnels. They track them to the tunnel that Trip was dissuaded from earlier. Gee, never could have seen that coming. If this is off limits to anyone not in the Order, why not put up a simple door? They head into the reliquary and a firefight starts. Good job protecting the priceless artifacts there, Vulcans. During the fight, a giant door to what I think is either the Danger Room or Cerebro is uncovered. Archer activates the door. Turns out the Andorians were 100% correct. The Vulcans really did have a super secret spy network underneath the temple. You know, for a super secret spy network, they sure don't seem concerned about being exposed to a bunch of strangers. Archer orders T'Pol to scan the base, but the Vulcan monk who went with them tries to stop it. But then we get a truly rare moment for this show. Archer gets the better of someone in a fight. It was against a pacifist monk, but you take victories where you can. He orders T'Pol to give all the scans she took over to the Andorians.
The Vulcans violated your treaty. Your people ought to know about it.
Archer, you know nothing about the treaty between these races. Are you really prepared to hand over evidence of your closest ally to their greatest enemy? And the people who spent the last few days rearranging your skull? This is a very complex issue, and you just decide on something that could lead to a war. With the crisis over, our heroes head back to the Enterprise. The end. This episode gets a trope rating of 2. 1.4 hostages, since this is a base under siege story. And 1.4 security fail, because Starfleet has the worst security ever. The guy didn't die, so we're still waiting for our first red shirt death, damn it. The good. As always, this is a top-notch cast that really gives it their all. It's also really great to see Jeffrey Combs. I love him. And it's nice seeing the Andorians return to Star Trek. The bad, it's a weak story, and everyone is so stupid and doesn't think things through. This episode was so close to being something great. You could have shown Archer being able to help defuse the situation. But with how paranoid the Andorians were acting, I can't help but believe that this would result in a war for your closest ally. Archer, you don't know what's in this treaty. You are outside of this political situation. Who are you to turn over tactical information? Archer is stupid. Vulcans, you've had Andorian raids on this temple that hide your super secret spy network. Why didn't you either send a ship to protect it or abandon the site after the first raid? Pack up and leave or post a guard. Why did you leave your super secret spy network vulnerable to more attacks? The Vulcans are stupid. Andorians, this is the 3rd time you have raided this temple. You've done many scans and searched the place thoroughly. What information do you have that keeps you pointing to this place as the home of the spy network? Why did you take the humans hostage? They had a Vulcan on their crew. Is it really so unbelievable that the Vulcan would want to travel to a sacred temple? Why did you destroy the Enterprise communicators? You said you scanned their ship, so you know it's heavily armed. Why did you cut off your ability to talk to the unknown aliens that you took hostages from? The Andorians are stupid. This could have been great if you had Archer find a way to reason with the Andorians and the Vulcans. Show him being the guy we expect him to be. Show traces of him being the guy that helps unify all these alien races that build the Federation. Instead, he's just the hothead that doesn't think things through. Same old, same old. Computer, save file and end transmission.
Affirmative. Processing. Terminating transmission. Ending communication.